What's up, Yugi Tubers? This is Harpy Hunter 89 coming at you from the Duelist Den. Tonight I will be profiling my Lightsworn deck. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments in the box below. Before I get started, I want to say one thing real quick. This is a synchro-based deck only. There are no Xyz monsters in here. So with that being said, let's get started. For the tuners, I run 3 Minervas. This is a mill engine. Whenever it's sent from your hand or deck to the graveyard, it lets you mill 1 card. Then if you normal summon this, you can search your deck for a dragon type monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard. I only have 1 target for this in my deck. It's Judgment Dragon. And unfortunately, I only run 8 Lightsworns total in this deck, counting Michael the Arc Lightsworn. So pulling off this effect for me is, never happens almost. So I rarely ever use that effect, but every now and then I do. I think I've pulled it off once. Next, I have Felice, one of my level 4 tuners. This card is sort of a mix between Raikou and Wolf. What it does is when it's sent from your deck to your graveyard by a monster effect, it special summons itself to the field. Then if it's on the field, you can sacrifice it to destroy an opponent's monster and then mill 3 cards. So like I said, it's kind of a mix between Wolf and Raikou. I run 3 Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworns. This is your primary level 4 tuner. What his effect does is you can activate the effect to mill 2 cards, and during the end phase, you also mill 2 cards. So it's pretty much a mill 4 every turn. Unfortunately, you can only use the effect once per turn. So if you have multiple Raidens on the field, you can only use the effect for one of them. But that's your primary level 4 tuner for the deck. I run 3 Luminas. This card is what you can discard. What it does is you can discard a card from your hand to special summon a level 4 or lower Lightsworn from your graveyard. Ideally, you use this to go into your Raiden, then mill, and then go into some synchro plays. And during the end phase, it mills 3 cards. I run 2 Lilas. Lila's effect is you can switch it to defense position to destroy a back row. And during the end phase, it mills 3 cards. Problem is, in order to use its effect to destroy back row, you have to switch it to defense position. And you can't take it out until the second end phase, or to the second turn after you activate it, pretty much. I run 2 Garoth. This is one of the draw engines in the deck, because every time you mill cards, you can use this effect to mill more cards and then draw cards for each Lightsworn sent to the graveyard. I run 2 Wolves. This card, when sent from your deck to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it. Ideally, what you would love to see happen is summon Raiden, use Raiden's effect to mill 2, special summon this. It allows you to go into your level 8 synchro plays real easy. Then the big boss monster of the deck, Judgment Dragon. What this card does is pay 1,000, destroy all other cards on the field, and then during the end phase, you mill 4 cards. For non-Lightsworns, I run 2 Curry Bandits. I find 2 is a nice balance in this deck, because you want to make sure you draw into it quickly, but you also don't want to have too many of them. Because you want to mill, but you don't want to mill too much, pretty much. So Curry Bandit is a nice tech into the deck. Not only doesn't let you mill, but also lets you get a spell or trap card to your hand off that mill. I run 3 Necro Garnus. Obviously, Lightsworns do a lot of milling, so effects that you can use from the graveyard work really well. And Necro Garnus is a prime example of it, because it can stop attacks from the graveyard. So it's a great way to protect stuff like Lumina or Raiden, something you have on the field that you don't want to get destroyed because you want to go into your synchro plays. I run 2 Plague Spreader Zombies. I run 2 instead of 3, mainly because I don't want to dead draw into it, and if I got 2 of them in the graveyard, because I can do a lot of milling in this deck, I can go through pretty much my entire deck in one turn. I can use the effect to summon it out and go into my boss synchro plays. I run 1 Glow Up Bulb. Again, just another tuner I can summon from the graveyard. I also run 1 Mirror Resonator. This is a pretty new card, but pretty much it's one of the newer cards of High Speed Riders. But what this card does is if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, and you do not control monsters special summoned from the extra deck, you can special summon this from your hand or your graveyard. You can only use the effect once per turn, and when it leaves the field, it banishes itself if it's summoned by that effect. You can also target a monster your opponent controls that has the level, and if you use this for a synchro summon this turn, you can treat this card's level as that monster's level. So it's sort of a cross between Glow Up Bulb and Plague Spreader and Phone Unpulsed Dragon. So it's a pretty cool card. 3 solar recharges just for some more draw support. This lets you ditch a Lightsworn from your hand and draw 2 cards and then mill. So not only is it a draw engine, but it's a mill engine as well. I run 2 monster reincarnations. This is a great way to ditch something like a Necro Gardener from your hand or a Plague Spreader or Glow Bulb, something you want in your graveyard. It's a great way to pitch it from your hand, then get a card you need for your big plays. Ideally, you want to get like a Judgment Dragon or Lumina or something off of this. 1 Foolish Burial. This lets you send a monster from your deck to the graveyard. What I like to do is use this to go send a Wolf or a Mirror Resonator, Glow Ball, Plague Spreader, something that I need in the graveyard, or to send from my deck to the graveyard to use their effects to the full extent. I run 2 Charge of Light Brigades. I was really stoked when I seen this went from banned, or not banned, but from limited to semi-limited. Just because there's a lot of decks out there. You need that do a lot of draw and search and stuff. You need that draw and search. And what this does is you mill 3 cards and then search for a level 4 lower Lightsworn. So it allows you to go into your big plays easy. I run 2 Beckoning Light. Again, this is in there for the same reason as Monster Reincarnation, because it lets you pitch your entire hand to the graveyard, and then it lets you add a light monster from your graveyard to your hand for each card you sent. So it's a real great way to get like JDs, Luminas, multiple cards from your graveyard back to your hand simultaneously. Then I run 3 Breakthrough Skills. Again, effects that work in the graveyard is what you want, and Breakthrough Skill is a prime example of that. If you manage to set it, you use it on your opponent's turn to negate their effects. Then if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to negate your opponent's monster effect, especially one that's particularly a pain in the ass to get around, and then go for your big plays. For my extra deck, I run, for my level 6 synchros, I run a Paladin Zektron. This card works really well in this deck because if you have a Lumina on the field and a Judgment Dragon and then something else in your hand, you can use Lumina's effect to pitch that card and special summon a Minerva from the graveyard, synchro summon in Zektron, drop JD, and blow up the field. And this won't be destroyed by the effect. Mainly that happens because the turn that Paladin Zektron is summoned or synchro summoned, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So not only would you have a Judgment Dragon on the field, but you also have a 2500 beat stick to use as well. And that has actually saved my life in a duel more times than I can count. For my second level 6, I run a Goyo Guardian. Goyo Guardian is real great in this deck because you can attack your opponent's monster, get it to your side of the field, then go into synchro plays. Real freaking easy. For my level 7s, I run a Lightning Warrior. Lightning Warrior works real well against decks that do a lot of draw, that do a lot of search. And what his effect is whenever he destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, he does 300 damage to your opponent for each card in your opponent's hands. So, in addition to being a 2400 beat stick, you can also, potentially deal a lot of damage to your opponent. Especially if they go max C, then you do a lot of summons. They've got a ton of shit in their hand. I run 2 copies of Black Rose Dragon. Most of the builds I've seen or that I've faced usually only run 1 copy of this. I prefer to run 2 because you never know when the first one might get hit with Breakthrough Skill or get Solemned or Torrential or something like that. Something that stops this effect. So ideally, I like to run 2 just in case that happens. I run 2 Michael the Arc Lightsworns. This card, you pay 1,000 life points, banish a card on the field. During the end phase, you mill 4 cards, and the turn this card is destroyed, during that end phase, or not during that phase, but immediately after that happens, you can take any number of Lightsworn monsters from your graveyard and put them into your deck. And then for each Lightsworn you sent to your deck with this effect, you gain 300 life points. Ideally, you want to run 2 because you let the first one get destroyed, bring out the second. When that one's destroyed, it shuffles, sends the first one back to your extra deck. So you just keep recycling and keep doing that over and over and over again to your heart's content. But this card work is a really great addition to the Lightsworns because not only does it let you gain your life back from using like JD's and his effect, but it also recycles your Lightsworns back into your deck. And the great thing about it is you don't have to send every Lightsworn in your graveyard back to your deck. You can pick and choose, keep the ones you want in your graveyard, so you can keep 4 in your graveyard, and then send the rest back to your deck. That way you can go into your Judgment Dragon plays. I run 2 Stardust Dragons. Everybody knows what Stardust Dragon does, and if you don't, then you're probably a rookie or a noob. For those people that don't, anyway, Stardust Dragon lets you negate an effect to destroy a card by sacrificing it, and then during the end phase he comes back. If you can make Stardust Dragon, you want to have him in your deck, because that's how good he is. I run 1 Crimson Blader. Crimson Blader works well against decks like Necroz, Shaddolls, Artifacts, pretty much anything that requires level 5 or higher monsters. It works great against. And what he does is if he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, your opponent cannot special summon or normal summon level 5 or higher monsters until the end of their next turn. So your opponent can go end their turn, you drop this first turn, take out one of their monsters, and then they can't go into their fusion. So like Shaddolls, they can't go into the fusion plays. Synchron decks can't go in their Synchro plays. Necroz can't go in their Trishes or the Bionics, stuff like that. I run 2 Red Dragon Archfiends. This card works real well in this deck, not because of his effect, but because of what he allows you to go into. But what his effect is when he destroys an opponent's defense position monster by battle, all their defense position monsters are destroyed. Then during the end phase, he destroys all monsters you control that did not attack that turn. So that can be kind of detrimental. So if you got a monster on the field that's in defense and you can't attack with it, it's gone if he's on the field. But ideally, what you want to do is wait to bring him out until you can go into your main Synchro play, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. I also run 1 Leo, just because he's Leo. He's a beat stick that can't be targeted. I run 1 Star Eater. Star Eater is sort of my Uber God card in this deck. What he does is he must be Synchro Summoned and can't be special summoned by other ways. And his Synchro Summon can't be negated. And when Synchro Summon cards and effects cannot be activated. If this card attacks, is unaffected by other card effects until the end of the damage step. So he pretty much has all the powers of Obelisk, and just a little bit weaker attack, but it's 3,200 attack. Obelisk is 4,000. He pretty much has all the same powers as Obelisk, and he's a beater. So he's a great play to go into since you can make him in this deck. Then I run 1 Red Nova Dragon. This is why you want to run Red Dragon Archfiend, because you need Red Dragon Archfiend to go into this. But what this card does is he gains 500 attack for each tuner monster in your graveyard. It can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And if your opponent declares an attack, you can banish this to negate the attack, and then during the end phase it comes back. This works real great in this deck because you have a ton of tuners in this deck, and you're milling most of them to the graveyard. So he can get up to between 9 and 10,000 attack. So he's really great, especially in a Lightsworn deck where you can get those tuners in the graveyard quickly. For my side deck, I run 1 Blackluster Soldier. I wish I could run at least 2 in here, but unfortunately he's banned from being able to do that because he's on the limited list. I honestly cannot wait till Chaos Emperor Dragon comes in or gets taken off the ban list because I'll probably put him in here too. But BLS is whenever he destroys opponent's monster by battle, he can attack again or make a second attack. And if he's on the field, you can target card your opponent controls, monster, whatever it is, and banish it. But he can't attack the turn you use his banishment effect. I run 2 Denko Sekkas. This card's in here just to get around problem face downs. If your opponent's running a ton of face down back or a ton of back row that needs face down, like traps and shit, normal summon Denko, and they're screwed. This works great in this deck because you're not going to have back rows played or face down on your field. Not usually. You might have a Beckoning Light or a Breakthrough, but that usually doesn't stay on the field very long. He's sideboard because if he's main board, he's kind of slows the deck down because you have to normal summon him, and if you normal summon, you only do one normal summon a turn, obviously. So you can't summon him and then Lumen in the same turn, which kind of slows the deck down. I run 2 Dark Holes and a Regeki. If you've seen my other deck profiles, my Harpy deck and my Jackpot 7 deck, you'll see that I'm kind of partial to these 3 cards, just because I feel they are that good. But these are pretty much just monster destruction effects, just like Judgment Dragon and Black Rose, just in case I need them, because you never know when your opponent might have a skill drain or breakthroughs to stop those effects. I run 3 Mystical Space Typhoons, again, because back row kills this deck. You need something to get around back row. Vanity's Empty, skill drains, Fiendish Chains, Mirror Forces, anything that helps you get rid of back row will be a good idea to side into your deck if you decide to make a Lightsworn deck. I choose MSTs just because it's the most common one, but you can also use like Night Beams or something. Those are pretty good. 2 Exchange of the Spirit. This card, it's really great. I'm happy it got taken off the ban list. It got errated, and got an errata, and that's how it got off the ban list. But what it does is if both players have 15 or more cards in their graveyards, you can activate this and pay 1,000 life points. Each player swaps the cards in their graveyard with the cards in their decks, then shuffles the deck. But you can only activate 1 Exchange of the Spirit per duel. At this point, you're probably wondering why I run 2 if you can only use 1 per duel. I run 2 because if I'm going to side it in, I'm going to side both of them in. And, with this deck, you mill a lot. So, you want to be able to draw into it, but you also want to lessen the risk of milling the only one you have. So I run 2, that way I potentially can draw 1, then mill the other one. But, ideally what you want to do is, mill your entire deck, then activate this, and you get your whole deck back, and your opponent pretty much just lost all their entire deck. But this works real great in Lightsworn because of the milling mechanic. I run 3 Trap Stuns. For Lightsworns, I feel Trap Stun is a more stable option than Royal Decrees, just because Royal Decrees have to stay face up on the field in order for their effects to be active. Trap Stun, you just got to activate it and it works. So I feel Trap Stuns are a better choice for the Lightsworn deck in particular. Then I run 1 Ring of Destruction. This is kind of a major card. If you want to run this card in pretty much any deck, at least side it in your decks, just because it lets you get over a boss monster your opponent controls. But that's my Lightsworn deck profile. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and in the comment box below, let me know what you thought of my deck. Any ideas you think might help me improve the deck. I don't want to run the Chaos form, so please leave those opinions. You can put them down there, but I'll probably just ignore them pretty much. But if you got any ideas for how I can speed up my synchro builds, let me know. I also want to know what you guys want to see on my channel. So leave your comments in the box below. And with that being said, this is Harpy Hunter 89 signing off.